Hello, everyone. Today I am joined by Cristian Lincu, who is very passionate about music composition. Cristian, how did you discover your passion for music?
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me today. It's really an honor to be here. My passion started 20 years ago. I was just a Metallica fan. I wanted to play the guitar, and I wanted to find out how those special sounds are created through playing guitar. So I basically started as a self-taught guitar player, getting tabs from whatever I could and trying to play as good as I could. And soon after I started playing guitar, I also started to compose my own stuff. And I did have some experimental projects with other people. It was some sort of a media project uniting literature, music, and visual arts. But it kind of stagnated after a while. I also tried different approaches, going more into the metal zone, because after I started with a classical guitar, I gradually upgraded my gear and different possibilities arise. So this is how I started. I kind of felt a passion right from the start. I kind of felt that I can have my own voice into what I was doing.
That's very cool. What are the biggest challenges that you have encountered?
Being self-taught presents many challenges. After I started playing guitar, after a while I started fancying composing orchestral music. What triggered this was, I've listened to orchestral music and classical music in general all of my life, but one day, like 10 years ago, I heard an opera singer singing a vocal adaptation to Albinioni's Adagio in G minor. And something in that exercise clicked in me. And I said to myself, I want to create classical music. I want to create orchestral music. It was like a sort of epiphany that it was something that could be more than just a hobby, because orchestral music is a great fit in game scoring and in film scoring in general. Acquiring all of this knowledge by myself was quite a challenge, because it's a very vast domain. And of course, if we're talking about accomplishments, it was a great feeling to see that all of my efforts were successfully accomplished by being first placed in the classical music composition Ravel in 2015 and 2017. First place in Romania, so it was.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Thank you. That's an international contest, actually, but the format of that competition was that each country will have a winner. So all the participants were judged first against all of the other country fellows, and then against each other. So I was first place in Romania, qualified for the next round. So basically I was a semi-finalist, but in the general competition, but I was first place in Romania. In 2 editions, 2015 and 2017. In 2015, I wrote a solo piano piece in a modern approach, contemporary approach. And then in 2017, I submitted a full orchestral work, like a symphonic piece That's what I wanted to do back then. And writing the score, writing pages and pages for orchestra after learning by myself was a great achievement for me. And of course, confirmation that all those challenges and all those efforts were not in vain.
Right now, where is the major inspiration behind your tracks?
I get inspiration mostly from literature, poetry, and just ideas. Ideas like talking to someone and stumbling upon an interesting idea, and then finding the characteristics of that idea, what could make that idea appealing in a musical sense. So I think this question is tied up very well with my composition process. I don't have only one method, but my main method is paper first. So let's say I am inspired by a poem or by an idea. I know exactly what I want to express. I don't look only to make good music or to make a music that sounds good. I also want to make music that expresses something, that has an underlying substance. So I'm trying to answer some questions like, what do I want to express? How will I express these ideas? So what harmonic devices can I use to better express this idea or this aspect? Like, for example, I can use here a Dorian progression or a Lydian progression to create some sort of fantasy atmosphere or otherworldly atmosphere. So this on paper, I don't really write notes. I write ideas and I write down the harmonic plan, after which I create the orchestration based on it, which of course can be in dozens of ways. And basically this is my process, which is tied down with how I get inspired. Often I get the question, what bands or what composers inspire you? And actually for me, it's not really inspiration from other music, but from other arts or philosophy, paintings.
So you get inspiration from a variety of sources, not just from bands or other musicians.
Yes, indeed. I like to challenge myself by expressing things musically. Like if I read a poem written by Jorge Luis Borges, how would I express this musically in such a way that it has a clever twist to it, but it also has an appealing musical aspect to it? Music inspires me. Other bands and other composers inspire me in terms of atmosphere or in terms of orchestration. I regularly read scores by my favorite composers like Ravel or Beethoven, even Enescu. I read papers on harmonic analysis or musical analysis in general, also based around Ravel's or Liszt's techniques and things like that. Although you're not copying those techniques, they somehow open up some possibilities that get assimilated in my musical language that I can use further, so that it gives you a sort of flexibility in finding your vocabulary when writing music.
It's also a very philosophical approach.
Yeah, yeah, you can say that. Right now I'm working on a indie video game.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a few more details without giving too much spoilers?
I cannot give so much details, but I can say it's in the early stages and it's gonna be a survival horror game.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're making the scary soundtrack?
Yeah. Yes. The scary soundtrack, but with a twist.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it when it will get in the beta phase or when it will be launched. I will love to see it.
I think it's gonna be in about 2 years from now.
Okay, that's a very cool project. What advice would you give to other artists who are just starting?
I'm honored that you asked this question, but I don't think I'm in the right position right now to give advices. But
From your experience,
I think the most important thing is to find what you want to express, not only searching for making sounds that sound good or putting sounds together that sound good, but also sounds that are expressing something that have an underlying expression. You get the idea. So
I do.
So yeah, what do you want to express, and then how do you express it? And of course, this depends on your personal style.
That's a very good advice. Cristian, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.